Alright, so these are the two bifaces from the nodule that broke as I was hitting it with direct percussion. So this next series of videos is going to be trying to explain the indirect percussion. Now, I did some indirect percussion on this already, so I'll put that aside for now and I'll concentrate on this one. There's a little bit of concrete, but this is not bad. Not bad at all. Just a tiny bit. So for the most part, it's high grade stuff. Yeah. This one, the concrete gave me a little bit of trouble, but it wasn't too bad either. Just a little bit here on this side. The reason why I mention it is because it can really mess you up a lot. There's not much you can do about it, really, when it messes you up. Sometimes you just gotta leave it in if there's a strep fracture in the concrete. It won't be a pristine looking point or blade. I will cut these videos into segments, but I'm going to join them all together again, so it'll still be about an hour and a half long video, I suppose, but it won't be off sync. Hopefully the volume and the audio will be better. Okay. I don't have a microphone jack for this phone, so I got to get a Bluetooth microphone. Because I do like the microphone for the sound quality. Okay. So I'm just taking back and eliminating these sharp edges, and I go all the way around the whole point because I don't like putting down the abrader, picking it up, putting it down, picking it up. So I try to do all the abrading at once and then the indirect percussion all at once. Do a pass all the way around. I'm going to show you how to do it with steel. And I use steel because it's expedient and relatively inexpensive, but the best part is that you can get it within 10 minutes, depending on how close you are to the hardware store. And if you have a busy schedule and there's only one day you can nap, you just gotta make sure the hardware store is open in case you might need something, and then just go down there and get it. Instead of having to try to arrange it in the mail. Some people don't have a permanent address. I know how that goes. And then there are other things that cost. Copper can get expensive if you don't have a source for it. It's free. Aluminum, you know, you can get some of that stuff at the hardware store, but the large bars or the large diameter stuff is only available online, I think. Oops. So what are the benefits and drawbacks of steel? How does it rate compared to copper, compared to aluminum? A lot of people say you can't use steel. When someone says I can't use a certain thing for knapping, I try it. That's the best incentive for me to try it if someone says it doesn't work. Now the one that I don't like using is brass. Every time it comes up, someone always asks, what about brass? What about brass? Brass. It's very slippery. Brass is more slippery than steel. And unless you're a flint knapper, you don't understand what slippery means. It doesn't grab the edge. It doesn't, there's no friction. Brass eliminates the friction. You need a little bit of friction to remove flakes. At least a little bit. You don't need all that much, but you need some. So the steel gives me some. Now, should I discuss each and every flake removal? My almost my entire channel is devoted to indirect percussion. So if you just watch maybe 100 or 200 or 300 of my videos, you can pretty much get what's going on. But I'll try to explain it. I was thinking about the angle of the platform, or the angle of the edge that I hit on. It varies between 45 and 90, with an average about 70 degrees. Okay, just keep them at 70 degrees. And it's in relation to the center line. Okay, there's a center line this way. There's also a center line this way. Come on. You know what I mean? If I talk about a 70-degree angle, it's in relation to the center line. That's the easiest way to think about it. If there's no center line, then you go by the surface. If the surface is all wonky, then you just got to use your imagination. Put in an imaginary center line somewhere and say, okay, 70 degrees. 70 degrees is a good place to hit. But you've got to abrade it a little bit so you've got some strength to the edge. If you're not a flint napper, you don't understand how delicate these edges can get. You don't want to be hitting on a delicate edge. So you take the abrader and you abrade it down so it's stronger. And it's 70 degrees basically. It varies. Doesn't have to be exactly 70. And round it off. I'm going to hit right here. So it's not sharp. It's rounded off. And you want a convexity on the other side. In a perfect world, it'd be perfectly convex. But this one is not perfect. Most of my knapping is expedient. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be proper. It's not going to go according to plan every time. I try to have a continuous area to hit, but in this case, I don't have a continuous area. I just have various areas. And I'm going to hit there because it's a good opportunity to remove some mass. And I'll look for good opportunities to remove mass in other areas. It's not a perfect place to hit, but I'm going to try it anyway. Now, keep in mind that on average, when someone watches me knap in person, they're surprised by how hard I hit. That's the first thing that they say. I'm surprised you're hitting it that hard. So keep that in mind. It looks on video like I'm not hitting it hard. Okay, that's the first thing to keep in mind. I'm actually hitting it harder than it looks like I'm hitting it. What is the best material? I started talking about steel. Copper is best. Everybody knows it, even though they don't want to admit it. Steel is good. I put steel second, only because it's easy to get. I do like aluminum as well, but I put steel after copper for two reasons. One is it's because it's easy to get, but also it's good for pressure flakers. The pressure flakers don't wear down as fast, and I get this, very similar results, especially with notching, than I do with copper. Copper sometimes is a little bit too soft for notching on the hard, difficult material. And I work a lot of difficult material because people ask me to. I'm not going to work difficult material with a soft metal like aluminum or copper if I don't have to. I'll use a harder metal like steel. But there's no great advantage to steel other than it's those two things. It's good for pressure flakers and it's easy to get. For indirect percussion flakers, there's an adjustment because it smashes the edge. You've got to really get used to it before you can remove flakes without smashing the edge. And it requires a lot of abrading. I put antler and natural materials at the very bottom of the knapping tool list because it's high maintenance, high cost, and the tool stone has to be high quality, okay, to get the best results with natural tools. It's high cost, high maintenance, and the tool stone has to be high quality. Now it doesn't have to be, of course, but to get the best results, you need to have high quality stuff. And to increase the quality of material, in the past as well as in the present, they heat treated stone to make it easier to knap with the natural tools. These days, with metals and stuff, it's not really an option for people. I mean, it doesn't seem like an option because they can knap just fine with their copper tools. Don't need to heat treat anything. They can knap everything just fine with their copper tools or steel tools. This is raw and I'm knapping it with steel. Nothing is bad. It's working well. Other than I have to make the adjustment to not smash the edge. All right, okay. So I'm judging my strikes according to experience. New guys can't do that. So if you're a new guy, you want a big blade, you're gonna have to use a big flake and just trim around the edges. You're not going to be able to run long flakes. I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to unless you're a very lucky person or you pick up on this stuff really fast. Now I've seen guys pick up this stuff, pick up flint knapping extremely fast. Some people have an intuitive ability to manage risk, and they pick up on how the stone is reacting. And they learn very quickly from their mistakes. They learn how risky it is, and they manage the risk. They become very proficient very fast. Okay? But if you're a normal new person, you're gonna have to start with a thin flake and trim around the edges and get most of the original surface on there. You know, not get most of it, but most of the original surface will remain on the original flake when you're new. That's what I suggest. That you knap what they call unifacial type stuff or partially flaked stuff. It'll look like a flake that's been chipped around the edges, and that's what you're going to be doing. If that type of look makes you feel sick to your stomach, then you're going to have to spend a lot more time breaking and making mistakes, breaking rocks and making mistakes to get thinning flakes that are going to halfway or more. Like these were thinning flakes. I did a pass here. They hit the center and just slightly passed. So I was able to thin it down as I'm going along. You don't have to be regular. You can be irregular. You can be opportunistic and random. In the past, most artifacts are made with random flaking. Not the beautiful pattern flaking that everyone is in awe of. You know, because humans respond to sensationalism. Sensationalism creates the impression that in order to imitate an artifact, you've got to be able to produce regular patterned flaking. It's not true. In fact, it was very rare. But sensationalism has taught our brains to respond only to that which is unusual. Everything else is ignored. You see it, you do know it, you do know that most artifacts are made with random flaking, but you ignore that. You do know that most artifacts don't exhibit a very sharp edge, but you ignore that. You see that artifacts are made a little bit, they're made a little bit too well in some cases when they don't need to be made all that well, but you ignore that. It doesn't take much to kill an animal, all right, when it comes to having a rock on a stick. It doesn't take that much. It doesn't need to be pretty. But you ignore that. You know that, but you ignore it. Same thing, I mention all that because same thing happens in Flintknapping. You know that pattern flaking and perfect non-steppy flakes are rare, but you ignore that. You know that indirect percussion is extremely effective, but you ignore that. You know that expediency is a way to make these things, but you ignore that. What you want to see, or what you've heard, or what people talk about is direct percussion, mainly, pressure. You know, direct percussion followed up by pressure, mainly. Okay, and regular, very methodical procedures. Special techniques like gripping and holding and pulling and angling in special ways. But you don't need to know all that in order to make an effective reproduction of an artifact. Some people don't want to do it that way. They don't want to make reproductions of artifacts. They just want to make something that doesn't cause them to feel nauseous when they're done with it. I understand. I understand totally. But that will take time. And of course you ignore that too. You ignore the fact that it'll take time. And a lot of broken material. You ignore that. You know that, but you ignore it. You're breaking a lot of material. You don't like it. You ask for help. You know that you're going to have to break a lot of material no matter what. But you still ask for help because it annoys you. It's perfectly understandable. You just spent $200 on stone and you got a bunch of flakes and that's it. Doesn't seem right. I know. That's just the way it goes with this particular hobby. So the process that I'm doing is I'm regularizing and taking opportunistic flakes in areas that require thinning. Regularizing and taking opportunistic flakes in areas that require thinning. Opportunistic flaking is something that people understand, but they ignore it. If you're ignoring the opportunistic way of doing it, and you want a methodical way of doing it, go over to the guys that grind the preforms to shape and then nap over the grinding. That's called flake over grind. If you cannot stand the opportunistic flaking, I suggest look at those guys. If that's too regular for you, you'll have to find some sort of middle ground, right? There's other nappers around that have that middle ground type of mentality on YouTube. They're not perfect, but they're not as random and opportunistic as I am. So, yeah, there's a lot of, I don't encounter very many people like that, but there are some people that don't realize there are lots of other nappers on YouTube with different styles. And that was the same in the past, but they ignore that. They would rather think of napping as a methodical, very consistent between cultures type of thing. Tools, if a tool looks like it's a billet in one culture, then that same type of looking thing in another culture is also a billet, used in the same way by the other nappers. Yeah, that could be true, but what are the odds? Well, the odds are actually pretty good, but they're not perfect. So that's why nobody knows how they were made, because there were many different nappers doing it. But people ignore that. They ignore the individuality of the nappers. They think napping is what you focus on. The napping is what you focus on. You don't focus on the nappers. A lot of new guys focus only on the napping. The napping must be consistent among all cultures, is what they end up having in their minds, which is not correct. It could be, but you never know. Can't make that generalization. I bring that up because a lot of guys, they want to know how they want to know how they did it in the past so they can do it that way too, to have a connection with the past. They think, if I don't do it the way they did it in the past, I don't have a connection with the past. I'm just chipping rocks. I'm not exercising one of the old ways. Yeah, I get it. But there are other things to keep in mind. It's not just the tools that you use, but the methods in which you use the tools. And one of the methods, and the method that I teach, is expediency, not methodical methods, but expedient methods. I can be methodical, but it takes a long time. And you lose a lot of material trying to create perfect platforms, perfect surfaces, running perfect flakes. You lose a lot of material around the edge to try to generate perfect flakes. Now, if you're brand new, you're not really concerned about that, right? Okay, fine. You'll say, I just want to flake it. I just want to get a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 instead of a 1-to-1 with the thickness ratio. Just want to get it better than 1-to-1. Yep. Well, if you're starting out with natural tools, I put those at the bottom of the list. You're going to have a hard time. Yeah. The guys that are good at it, that are with natural tools, have been doing it a long time. So unless you can put up with the hard times that you're stepping into, I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend you just getting copper. There are tools available online that you can purchase, tool kits, and use those. You can make your own. I recommend making your own, because if you can't make your own tools and you want to do flint knapping, you're going to have a hard time. If you're not able to make your own tools, chances are you're not going to be able to flint knap very well, because it requires, you know, being crafty. Yeah. Making stuff. You got to be good at making stuff if you want to get good at flint knapping. Now, you don't have to be good at making stuff, but it helps a lot. Now, why am I not discussing exactly how I'm hitting? Because I'm pretty much hitting opportunistically, and every situation is slightly different. I don't know the subtle differences. What I'm doing is I'm just hitting and watching, hitting and watching, hitting and watching. And I'm avoiding mistakes that I've done in the past. I'm trying to avoid mistakes that I've done in the past, but I'm just hitting and watching. The angle is between 45 and 90, which an average of about 70 degrees on each one of these with a rounded edge, dull. I set this, I grind this down semicircular or even with a 45 bevel sometimes with a flat tip. 45 bevel with a flat tip sometimes, but usually just rounded. Not perfectly rounded in a lot of cases, because I'm just expedient, and sometimes it's kind of wonky. But I use the same kind of tip on everything except the direct percussion flaker, right? I used to use this type of tip on this. I'm going to transition, well, I've already made the transition to this. I'm going to transition with these to flat, but it'll be at an angle, but that'll be later. Right now I'm just showing you and telling you how to use a rounded tool to gouge out these flakes. And I use the term gouging because that's what it feels like I'm doing. 70-degree edge, rounded off, rounded tool tip, and gouging out these flakes with the same angles, same forces, direction of forces as pressure or percussion. Right? Pressure and percussion, angles, all the same. There's slight differences. People can get nitpicky and tell you that, no, they're different here and there. Okay, fine. They may be different here and there, but if you think about it too much, you'll end up with a little tiny piece because you're trying to adjust every angle and edge to every tool that you bring out. You're going to have to readjust it. You have to remove material to get something constructed. The more you try to construct, the less material you'll end up with. Okay. All right, I'm going to divide the video here, cut it, and then cut back in. Okay. One interesting thing about the new camera is when I cut out and try to cut back in, I got to re-specify that it's a video, which is kind of dangerous because I could be filming and not know that it's not a video. I could be just snapping a picture and then thinking I got a video going. So that could be an issue. Anyway, I don't have to continue any further on this in order to make an artifact replica. This is pretty much done. That's why I kind of paused there. Pretty much done as far as the preform stage goes. To thin it further than this, I need to lose a lot more edge. This edge is ready to be sharpened with a pressure flaker. I could try to remove some more mass from this lower area, or the base, or the stem, but it's risky because that's what breaks things in half when you start hitting very hard on the ends. This tip is easy to reduce down. It's the base that's difficult. Difficult to run long flakes, and that's how I've been breaking many blades recently. Trying to learn how to thin out the base without breaking it requires that you have to break a lot to know what not to do. You could say, well, in general, just don't thin the base later. Just don't thin it. Leave it thick. That'll solve it. Yep. That does solve it. But on some projects, you know, you require thinning because you got to haft it, or you're looking at another artifact that's in your collection that's very prized. You go, this is so awesome. I wish I could make this awesome one. And this awesome one happens to have a very thin base, a very thin stem. So there you go. You're off on your quest. And in the process of learning how to thin the stem or the base, snap a lot of these things in half. Happens to everybody. Okay. I think I have a video on explaining direct percussion with words, or explaining platforms with words and things like that. If you want to know what I know in diagram form, then you go to one of those videos and look to see how I drew it out, what the placement is of the flaker onto the workpiece. You know, some people want to know this angle. What is this angle here? You know, what is the exact placement of the tool on the edge? What is that? Is this a good spot here? Am I actually putting it on a spot that I would hit? Show us exactly how you initiate these hits. That's what you want to know. I can show you, like I've said many times, I can show you, but it's not the same every time. Some of you don't care. I don't care if it's not. I don't care if it's different every time. I want to see at least one, so I have a baseline, somewhere to start. I need to see at least one, so I have a baseline, so I know where I am when I'm not out in limbo. You know, some people are like, or they think to themselves, if I don't have a baseline, I'm out in limbo in the middle of nowhere. If he tells me that it's variable every single time, and he can't tell me where it is every single time, it doesn't help me at all. I'm out in limbo. I need a baseline. I need something to ground myself on. I can't nap on the fly. I've got to nap with my feet bolted to the ground. Okay? So I'll try to show you, and you can take a screenshot of some edge I would hit. All right? Let me get one ready. And you can take a screenshot. You can watch this over and over and over again. It'll give you a baseline. I'm gonna take a flake here, okay, from this spot. This is very common because it's a bulky spot on the edge, and there's a clear path of travel. It'll follow this little ridge. Okay, it's not perfect. I've got two opportunities. If I crush this one, I can go to this side. This is something that I would hit. And the angle that I would hit it at, and you can take a screenshot and measure it all you want, is right there like that. Okay, so if I, okay, let me get this set up. I'll be like this, right? You can't see the angle from there. So what I'll do is I'll take this out, I'll switch everything around, And of course the focus is not cooperating. Hold on. Let me do this again. I would hit it like, I gotta get my subconscious to arrange everything. Okay, I would hit it like this. Okay, so I take it out and I will show you the angle. Okay, you got it? You can take a snapshot. And I'll remove this from the platform. The platform is right there. I'll hit it like this, midway up. Midway up. Hit it like this. The angle would be about there. Okay? If I'm like that, I don't remove much. If I'm like this, I'm going to remove more. So I'm right about there. Okay? Maybe a little bit more, depending on how much I want to remove. Not much if it's perfectly in line, both center lines of the tip and the workpiece are in line, not much is removed. There is some inward force because the tip is rounded. This removes more material. This removes even more. This removes even more. Okay? The more you strike inward, the more material gets removed. And you got to worry about the bulb as well. Okay? I don't have to remove that much material to get rid of this. Basically, all I want to do is get rid of this mass here on the edge. And maybe send it in a little further. It doesn't really need it, but I can send the flake in a little further if I want. The amount of force, I cannot tell you how much force that I'm using. That wasn't enough. A little bit more. It removed that mass. Okay. There's your baseline. There's your baseline. If you're still out in limbo, rewind it. Watch it over and over again. There's your baseline. Everything else is going to be either easier or more difficult than that one. I was trying to get the mid-range as far as the type of flake. I went to the center. Let's see, it was right here. It went to the center. Okay, that's your baseline. All right. If you're still confused after that, I don't know what to tell you. Now I've got step fractures and stuff. Real artifacts have this arrangement, but it makes people sick to their stomachs, so I'm going to try to get rid of it. And the only way to do it is to remove some of the edge. I gotta take back this edge so I can start doing something about the step fractures. I can push off on these step fractures with some steel tools, but this is a indirect percussion video, so I'm going to use indirect percussion to remove those step fractures if I can. I may end up leaving a little bit of it in. The best way to do it is to take it off from this direction, because the edge of the flake will fan out this way. If I take it from this direction, the edge of the flake doesn't fan out at that angle. But if I take it in this direction, the flake fans out in this direction. So I got to take off the edge up here first. Okay. Same with direct percussion. Same strategy. So the baseline is that angle's about 70. You put the tool halfway up. There's an angle about that much. I don't know what that angle is down there. And the force I can't really tell you. It depends on the situation. But what I can tell you is that I hit harder than you think I hit in your thought experiment, or in your observation of what I'm doing. I'm hitting harder than it looks. I'm going to try to run this ridge here, but I would rather have more of an area instead of just one area to hit into there. I'd rather have a larger area. So I'm going to take the edge back even more. Yeah, sometimes I go up higher on the tooltip, sometimes it's lower on the tooltip, depending on how much material to remove. You probably understand the concept that the lower it is on the edge, the less material that gets removed. The higher it is, the more material. But it also depends on the type of material. Sometimes in order to remove a little bit, I got to be really high because the material is very tough. And sometimes when the material is very soft, I only need to put the tooltip just barely up there on the edge and it will remove a large flake. Depends on the hardness of the material. But the baseline is halfway. Baseline is that angle right there. Baseline is rounded tip. Baseline is like 70-degree angle or whatever that is. Okay? And, ground down. Do all platforms need to be ground down? Nope. Do some platforms need to be ground more? Yep. I gave you an average. It doesn't matter what size of preform you're working with. That average is always going to be the same. That arrangement of the tools and the tool tips and the platform angle and blah blah blah, always the same no matter what size. If this is a small little arrowhead or a big blade, same thing. Just scale it up for something big, scale it down for something small. You don't need a huge, gigantic indirect percussion flaker. You don't need a, where was I going with that? Yeah, you don't need a big, gigantic indirect percussion flaker for something small. I still don't have a continuous shot at that. Even though I took back the edge and made it more, I don't know, more regular, still too high there, but I could still maybe get a flake. If this one doesn't work, still may be able to get another flake because it's going to create a ridge in between these two. When I hit this flake off, it'll create a ridge in between. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't like it that much. Let's see. This is a little bit weak because it's not convex. It's kind of low. It's going to blow away a lot of the platform. The higher it is, the more meaty it is, basically. If I'm right at center line, that's usually the best. It's part of your baseline. Be right at center line with your platform. Okay, so that's another thing to add to your baseline. Platforms at this exact center line. Don't go too much below, don't go too high. Keep it right at center line, and that's your baseline. That's an average strike. Hit the platform when the platform's at center line. Okay? So that didn't work. So now I got to go to a more drastic procedure. Yep. You can see how more of that edge is beveled. How do I explain this? You can see that the platform appears to be larger as far as surface area. And it's more continuous. I like continuous platforms because it gives me options. Because if it looks like it's too weak in one spot, I can just move over. And if I miss one spot, I can move over. Yeah, I need to be more drastic than that. That's not going to work. It's not going to work because of experience. It's not because I'm using a mathematical formula. Some people can make it work without removing too much of that edge. I'm going by my own experience. Which will mess you up if you're brand new. You try to be as daring as I am. It's not going to work. You're going to have to be hitting platforms that are more beefy. If you're brand new, you can't just be winging it. You can't just be trying to get away with something that might not work. If you're in that boat that you just can't get it to work, just try making the edges stronger and hit harder. Yep. I tiptoe through the tulips a lot. I try to get away with what I can. And end up doing a lot of damage control. It's not that great of a tactic, but I do it because it doesn't take all that much time. And I know pretty fast if it's going to be a successful attempt or not. You know, it's going to break pretty quick because I'm taking a lot of risks. So I might, you know, it solves that problem is what I usually say. Whoop, that solves that problem. It broke. That solves that problem. Next. And I just live with what I got. Make do with what I got left. You know, I hit that too hard. Took a bite out of crime. You boomers know that commercial. I took a bite out of the side there. Every time I see a bite taken out of the edge, it reminds me of that commercial, taking a bite out of crime. Because there's a bite taken out of that word, crime. Out of the letter C, I think. Okay. No, maybe they took a bite out of the letter M, I don't know. One of the letters had a bite taken out. McGruff the dog. Yes, Irish dog. Anyway. Okay, I'm just going to try to blast my way in there. It's not that great. I'll give you a close-up of the edge when I think it's okay to start smashing it. help you with your baseline. Okay, are you looking at it? Some people can say that angle is 48.6. What are you talking about, 70? Oh, okay, 48.6. But I rounded it. So where I'm going to hit it, it's probably about 70. Why do I do it that way? Well, the pressure flaking actually develops a certain angle. It develops like a 45 when you pressure flake it, with the way I was doing it. And the more I pressure flake it, the steeper the angle gets more and more steep. As I do more passes with pressure, it gets steeper and steeper, depending on how much pressure I'm using. I didn't use all that much pressure, so it's still kind of sharp. But the place I'm hitting, I'm rounding it off. I'm even rounding off the bottom part, making it as strong as I possibly can without taking too much off the edge. And I think it'll work. Hoping that it'll work. I'm not going to hit there because there's a step fracture right there. Although I've been abrading it like I'm going to hit it, I'm not going to hit it there. It's just collateral abrasion, collateral damage from the abrading. I don't need it to be thick there. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that. I can hit there because it's right at the edge of the step fracture. I'm not too afraid of hitting there. But I won't. I'll take it back a little bit more. Did they do this back in the day? I think they did damage control, but every type of situation requires a slightly different take on the damage control. I could hit that with a hammerstone or with a billet. I don't have to hit that with an indirect percussion flaker. The angles are the same. The direction of force is the same. The resulting flake will be the same. Everything's pretty much the same, except for the shape of the tip of your tool. That's different. The shape of the tool does make a difference on how these flakes will initiate and how they will travel. But I could write a book just on the variations on the tips and what the results are on the workpieces. I'm not going to do it. Nope. All right. So take a look at the edge. That's about the best I can get if the zoom will cooperate. If you imagine the center line, I'm a little bit below, or maybe right at center line. Probably below, slightly. There's convexity, right? Or that one's almost perfectly flat, which is not that great, but it's not bad. It has to be either flat or slightly convex. Flat is okay, I suppose. I'll live with it. I would like it to be slightly convex, but then I would have to take some flakes off again, which I don't want to do. I just want to hit it and get it over with. I think it'll work. But I don't want it to crush. So I'm abrading it more than what I would do with antler or copper. Steel requires the most amount of abrasion. Yeah. And I'm just going to go for it. Extremely hard. That was the hardest hit so far in this video series. That was extremely hard hit. and it didn't crush the edge. It took a little bit of that step fracture off. I don't know if I could do any better than that. I hit on the most opportunistic area, the most conducive area to that flake, in my opinion. Now that I've removed a little bit of the edge of that step fracture, I can hit there and continue to try to remove more of that as I go. I can try another hit right there, because maybe it'll take off that portion of the step fracture there, and I'll be left with a little bit right there or something. Okay, I think that might work. You got it zoomed in. Are you zooming into my zoom in? Are you able to zoom in more than what I can zoom in? Are you able to take a snapshot? It's not that great of a path of travel for the flake, but I'm going to do it anyway. Maybe I should pick at it first before I even attempt it. Yep, I know one of you guys are saying that. And you know what? You're right. Oh, yes. I was going to hit that. So the guy in the back said, no, not good. Yeah. Sometimes the wise guys are correct. There it is. Still doesn't look that good. So I'm still going to hit it. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed. Why? Because I don't like it. I don't like it. I want it better. I still got some width left. I'm going to abuse this width a little bit. Yeah. Here we go. Oops, it slipped off and I barely touched it. All right, so here we go. It can't be slipping off. It slips off because I'm winding up. In the process of winding up, everything kind of moves around and gets all stupid. All right, so what did I do? Did it do something good? I think it kind of did. But it took a bite at a crime again. And it didn't go past halfway like I wanted to. But I think I like it better, even though it might not look that great. Yeah. I like it better than the step fracture near the edge. That's for sure. And now that I've taken back this edge and messed it up, I can now fix it, and I've got an opportunity to take some flakes off the other side and maybe get rid of that step fracture that I don't like. Yeah, okay, I'll do that on the next segment. All right, yep, I am recording, so I'm not going to take another flake into the concrete area. Nope, nope, nope. The only way I would want to do that is maybe from the other side. But I don't want to lose any more width on that side. I like this side. I don't want to lose width on it. Yeah. So tough it. That's it. I'm not going to do it. That lump right there, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to have to learn to like that lump. I don't know. Maybe I should attack it before I start womping on the middle again. Yeah. Okay. I got one place I can attack that right through here. One place I think would work is right through here, but it could snap the whole thing in half. But you know what? I'm always doing that. I'm always taking risks of snapping the whole thing in half. Nothing new. Nothing unusual. I'm always taking that risk. Because it's thick right there. Yeah. There's a lump right there. Right there, there is a lump that is very annoying. I don't even know if I want to take that risk. That's just way too dicey. Yeah. I feel like I'd be an irresponsible napper if I took one hit that was way too dicey. An irresponsible video maker too. Break it on video for you guys. That wouldn't be very nice. That'd be highly irresponsible of me, right? Because you don't want to see failures. You want to see this thing through, you know? You guys are used to watching videos that have closure and completion. Yeah. What happens at the end? You know? You guys are watching, I see what you guys watch on my analytics. You guys are watching stuff like what happens when you use a flamethrower against something. Yeah. I want to see the result. The end result. What happens when you load a shotgun full of blah 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 and shoot it at blah blah blah? You're watching it for the end result. You'll wait till the end, yeah, because that shotgun's going to blow the living daylights out of whatever it is. Yep. That flamethrower is going to toast whatever it's going to toast. And you want to see what it looks like. You don't want to go, oh, the flamethrower didn't work, so I can't show you what it can burn. You don't want to see videos like that where the flamethrower has a malfunction. Same with Flintknapping. You don't want to see the malfunction in the breakage. You want to see what happens. Yeah. I know. I get it. Let's see. At least I try to get it. I don't always get it. I'm a little slow on the uptake. Many times. I try to convince myself, yeah, I get it. I understand stuff. And a lot of times I don't understand what's up. I don't understand it. I go, what? That's what it was about? That is what the guys were talking about? I'm talking to my kids and stuff. Yeah, Dad, that's what we're talking about. Dang, I was totally on a different wavelength till you mentioned that, then now I get it. Yeah. What I'm doing here is I don't like the way that edge looks, so I'm going to move it even closer to the obstacle. Yeah, I know, it's going to ruin everything, but oh well. I have to come back immediately with, oh well. You want me to explain everything? I can't explain why it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. I don't even know if I want to do it. I don't know if I want to make it thin anymore. Now that I'm looking at it too much. Yeah, I'm looking at it too much. I'll go over here and repair this a little bit before I move on, because it saves time just to repair the whole thing so I can make a pass. A pass of flakes. Yeah. Opportunistic pass, not a regular pass where I take a marker and mark regular intervals. No, it's an opportunistic pass. You want to do intervals? That's fine by me. I don't care. I'm just not going to do it that way. Some guys will mark every quarter inch or so. Whatever, right? Works great. Why don't I do it? I don't want to work great. I don't want it to work great. Yeah. I just want it to work. Yeah, I'm going to take some risks. See what happens. Yeah, I don't like this edge, so I took this risk on that edge, even though I could have broken the whole thing in half. That's what I like. So all that preparation here, and I'm probably not even going to take a flake there. Yeah, because I don't like it. Yep, don't like it. Would have been beautiful if that had gone further, but yeah, you never know. You know what my thought process on every step? Sometimes I don't think about flint knapping while I'm flint knapping. Yeah. You see how that works? This is very important. It's very important to know how that works. How I took out that flake. Damage control is extremely important. And you see how it fanned out, the flake fanned out in that direction? But I didn't think about this too much. I just saw that it looked okay and took the risk. You know? And it probably didn't even hit exactly where I was thinking it was going to hit. Or it probably didn't even remove exactly where I thought it was going to remove it, but it ended up working. And you would never know that there was a step fracture there. There's no sign of it. Or there's no reason to believe that I did that flake specifically to get rid of a step fracture. You would think that I would be just thinning it down. But the main reason for me to take that one flake is because of that stupid step fracture. Yeah. Just by coincidence, it was a good thinning flake because there was a lump there. I thinned out the lump, but I kind of did it out of sequence because I should have thinned down the tip a little more before I struck the middle. But I wanted to get rid of that step fracture. Yeah. Let's see. I don't like the step fracture there. Let's see if I can pick that out. Just for grins and giggles here. Let's see. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Tried it from the other direction. Yeah, that was okay. Let's try some more of this stuff. Yeah. Let's just pick at the whole thing. Couldn't hurt, right? Yeah. To get rid of this, I would have to come in from this side where I didn't like it last time. And if I beef it up more, maybe I will like it. Let's see. Maybe I will like it if I beef it up more. So what do I think about when I'm flint knapping that's not related to flint knapping? You want to know what the thought process is behind it? Sometimes I don't think about flint knapping while I'm flint knapping. How about that? How about them apples? Yeah. Is there something I can think about that makes me flint knap better? Well, that's a good question. Something not flint knapping related that makes me flint knap better. That's a good question. I don't know. I change my mind a lot too when I'm flint knapping because I was gonna do this, but I'm up here now. I'm not gonna do that yet. Come on. I wanted to do that because I just wanted to. Want is a funny thing. Yeah. I think about philosophy a lot when I'm flint knapping. Want is a funny thing. Because want can be basically anything you want. The meaning of the word can be many things. You gotta have a precise definition for want if you want to talk about want. Like I wanted to go there and do that. What kind of want is it? Is it a want because I got an itch? I just can't help myself. That spot right there is calling to me, and it's making me want. That thing, that lump is making me want to remove it. I can't resist it. Is that the kind of want it was? Or was it based on something like, well, I need to thin the tip out as a priority. If I think about my priorities, thinning out the tip is a priority. So I'm following my priority. My priority caused the want. I want to do it as a procedure. It's part of a priority. Something rational. As a procedure, as something abstract, because it's not that area specifically that I wanted to hit. I wanted to get this more thin as a matter of principle. Is that the kind of want that I was using or that I was experiencing? Maybe I had in my head that maybe you guys wanted me to do that. So I'm thinking maybe I'm guided by what other people want. Yeah. What is it? It's a mystery. Even if I tell you what it was, let's say I knew. There's no way to be sure that was what it was. Especially if I could fool myself. Yeah. I could have wanted that for some reason, and I didn't really like that reason, so I convinced myself it was for some other reason. Yeah. Is that the kind of want you're talking about? The one you convince yourself is the right want? Anyway, should I take that flake? I don't want to. I need to have it more convex. It's not convex like I like it. Yeah. All right, let's make it like I like it. And then I'll show it to you so you can see. You can see what I like. You might not like it, but I will like it. Right? Right. It's all related to indirect percussion, don't worry. All this stuff. It's all related to indirect percussion. Believe it or not. Oh, that's a nice flake. I haven't even gotten into the pressure flaking on this very much. I'm just doing damage control pressure flaking. In support of damage control, I should say. I'm not going to do too much more on this with indirect percussion because it's pretty much ready for pressure. I'm just going to take care of some of the few areas that look nasty. Try to anyway. Yeah. I think I braided that too much. But I'll show you anyway. This one is below center line for sure. I don't like it that much. I'm going to hit somewhere along there right now. I don't know for sure. But what my goal is to take out that step fracture. So I've got to come in here somewhere. Get rid of that lump. I got various areas I could hit. This one looks better from here because of the ridge. But there's other ridges I can follow, but I think this one here might be best. We'll see. Yeah, this one right. I'm gonna hit this spot right there. Because it's more convex there. The convex pathway is the best one. Yeah. Okay. It's a long shot because most of my flakes aren't that long. They're like this long, and that's not, this is extra long. So we'll see. I don't know, it's dicey. All right, let's see if it did it. Did it do it? Almost. Yeah, almost. Can I hit it again? Well, the booger broken. The booger broke right there, so I can't hit it again. It didn't want me to do it, so it made itself break. That's why it did it. Yeah. It wanted to stop me from getting rid of the step fracture, so it stepped right there. Yeah. And no, not really. It just so happened, probably because of the concrete. But I can push off on that. I can probably either strike it with a tool or push on it. And then it'll continue. Or I could take another flake and pray that it'll shoot up this way or something. From the very tip, yeah, exactly where I don't want to hit it. Various options. I have choices. Yeah. I do have choices. Is that translucent? It's getting translucent. Let's see. Let me just regularize it so I can kind of dilly-dally a little bit before I make the decision. Yeah. And if I make the decision, I might change my mind. All you determinists out there, what happens when you change your mind? What causes you to change your mind? Same initial conditions. Yeah. Just change your mind. Same conditions, you just change your mind. You can have the same initial conditions and make more than one decision on the same initial conditions. So which one is the deterministic initial conditions? Riddle me that one, Batman. And you might say, no, you'll never change your mind with the exact same initial conditions. Oh, how little imagination you have. Yeah, that's a lot of the problem is lack of imagination. If you have lack of imagination, you can think you're doing thought experiments, but you have no idea. You have no idea the capacity of the mind to do thought experiments if you have good imagination. Oh yeah, you might think you do. You might think you only have one option. Yeah. Oh, how little imagination they have. Those that think that way. It's a problem. Yep. Definite problem. There's more than one reason why Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. There's more than one reason for that. Oh, yes. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's getting flatter. That was a little bit lumpy on there in that area, right? I thought it was. Maybe I wasn't seeing things. I always second guess myself, but on that one I don't know. I think I needed to have removed that for sure. And I do want to send another flake in there. I do want to, but I don't know if I should. Yeah, I'm not going to. Some of you determinists out there are going, well, if you had free will, that means you would have the option to do something different. All right, than what you did. The option to do different than what you did. That's what some of the determinists out there say. It's one of the dumbest things you can say. There's always the option to do something different by not doing it. Yeah. All right, here we go. I need to focus on this. Yeah, I'm just going to pick it out. Yep, that's the most expediente. And I'm getting tired of this particular biface. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna drive a flake in. I don't know if I should smack it. Let's see. Smack it with the my old favorite tool. Ooh, that's got a lot of damage on it. That's not good. Look at all that. It's even got some lint on it. Okay, see the difference? It's flat across the top, flat, flat. And then it's, smooth. Okay? So it gets in there. It can get right up against that step fracture. And I'm going to hit that right there. Right where I think it's going to be the most advantageous to get rid of that. And there's not much distance to travel. Yep, when there's not much distance to travel, that's what I like. I'm gonna hit it right there. So here we go. Did it do it? Come on, tell me it did it. Come on. I'm gonna put metal marks in there if I keep doing that. Let's see. Did it do it? Ooh, what did it do? Oh boy, that's not good. I should have picked at it. But you know what? I've got a lot of mass in there, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to convince myself I like that better than it was before. Oh yeah. I like it better. I like that little scoop out. Oh yes. Do I really? Heck no, I don't like it better. But I can try to convince myself that I do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try to convince myself that that scoop out looks pretty cool, man. Yeah. I don't know why it dove in like that. It's supposed to just make a nice little leap of faith across the little area instead of diving in there. Why did it dive? Maybe it was already trying to dive in before. I just continued it. Yeah, that flake that I drove earlier may have wanted to dive in. So by hitting it instead of pressuring it, it continued to dive. Luckily, it didn't go all the way. I can lessen the look of it, you know, by removing mass. Yeah, let's see, how much time do I have? It's dicey though because it's weak, but I can lessen the look of it so it doesn't look as deep. All right, here we go. What did it do? It didn't do anything. Let's see. Every time I look at the viewfinder, it looks blurry. I hope it's been okay for you guys. Anyway, that's what I was trying to do. Keep doing that, it'll lessen the look of it if I do it right. And then, you know, make it more and more shallow as I go. The more flakes I run into the area, the more shallow it gets. Okay, here we go. What am I doing? I'm making this get a little bit closer to that obstacle. I braid it in that direction because it helps the convexity. I braid in both directions. And I'm going to run a flake, and I don't know if it's going to be a good flake, but oh well. Yes. Now it looks even better. Yes, indeed. I'm going to convince myself that looks even better than I could possibly imagine. Yeah. Even better than I can imagine. It's funny how you can say words that don't exist. You can describe something that doesn't exist or can never exist. Okay. Gosh, this edge is so lumpy. So wavy. But this is not a pressure flaking video. So what the pressure flaking I am doing is just to support indirect percussion strikes. Okay? Okay. The other little biface down there is getting lonely. I'm not going to work on it. Let's see, compared to the thinness. Yeah, this one is thinner. Yeah. Not by too much, but it is thinner. It's about the same width. But, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get this as thin as too risky because it could snap the whole thing. If I get too adventurous with it. Let's see if it did it. Oh, it did the same thing as before. But I could possibly strike it again. Yes, because it didn't break up at the end. But see, it did the same thing as before. It doesn't want to continue. It doesn't want to. I told you. Ready? Yeah, it really doesn't want to. I hit that really, really hard, and I ruined the platform. Can't use it anymore. Well, let's see if I pick at it, if it'll work this time. Yeah, all right. I'm going to pick at it with the big spatula tool. Take that. Big spatula tool this time. Although the little one probably can bridge that gap. I'm going to take the big one. Ooh, actually it broke off. I didn't even need to push on it. So it did work. That second hit on the flake probably loosened it. So yeah. Perfect. The only spot that's left, the major area that's left, is that one right there. This one. With that concrete. You might be saying, well, you can do it. You can do it. You can remove that concrete area. Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. I'm very tempted. I've already made several flakes in that pass. One more couldn't hurt. Yeah. Last words, famous last words. What's my motivation behind it? I'm blaming on you guys. Yeah. It's because it's a video. It's not my idea. Yeah. If this doesn't work and I break it, you guys are going to go back to watching flamethrower videos, I bet you. Oh, yeah. So, nah, this guy's channel is not worth it. Go back to watching the flamethrowers, yeah, man. Alright, here we go. That didn't do anything. That worries me. Let's see. Ta-da! Perfect. I just gotta make sure I remove that area because it could have incipients. Incipients. What are incipients? No, it's not some sort of alien life form, although it probably should be. It's the cracks that could open up. If I end up hitting it again with percussion, I don't want these cracks to open up if they are in there. Because I hit this area, nothing happened. I think I know why, because it's abraded too much. I can't even take a pressure flake off. There we go. I think, see, there was a little incipient in there. It looks weird. Anyway, I think I'm done with this segment. Yeah, I can do the rest of this with pressure. Pretty much. It's pretty flat. I minimized that booger. I took off some of that nasty stuff from there. If you watched to this point, I'm very proud of you. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Make sure you put a nasty old comment in the comment section. Yeah, nasty one. Why? Because I like people self-incriminating. When they self-incriminate. Yeah. I like it when they self-incriminate. All right, there you go. Piece of cake.